What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we continue the K-Swap series here on the channel. We are going to be swapping my Mazda B2000 to a K24 engine. If you haven't watched my previous video, go ahead and check it out here on the top so you guys can see more details and everything that we got in so far. But today we are focusing on just the transmission. Now we're not going to do a full transmission swap, and the reason why is because we are going to be focusing on the BellHousing swap. I got a 1990 Miata transmission, which is right here. This is a 5-speed out of a 1990 Mazda Miata. I don't know if that's an NA or MB. You guys figure that out. I'm not a Miata person. But then down here we have the factory transmission from a Mazda B series. Now this is a spare one that I have. It is a little bit rough, at least rougher than I remember it. You can see there are both kind of leaking a little bit here. This oil hasn't been changed probably since the whole life of that transmission. This one looks a little bit cleaner and better. So we are going to go ahead and open them up and swap the BellHousing on it, which is just the front part of it. They do sell an adapter that makes the Miata adapt to the K24, which should make our life easier, but I did learn that you have to get a very specific custom flywheel, which those things are even more expensive than the adapter, and it's really unfortunate. So it's going to be another big purchase that we're going to do later. I don't have the money for that right now, and we're not about to adapt it anyway, so it doesn't matter. But yeah, that's going to come in soon. For now though, on this one, we spent about 200 bucks. So we're going to add that to our total running so far. And then I did have to get some gray RTV, and I think that was around 12 bucks. I added here in the top too. All right, guys, so we have the two transmission here, and definitely I try to hit them with a power wash, some simple green and elbow grease to try to clean them up as best as I could. That one turned out great. This one could have been a little bit better. I didn't spend as much time as I should have on this one, but some of the differences right off the top that we can see here is we have kind of two plug areas here. I'm not even 100% sure what that one's for, but we have the two areas there that we don't have here on the Miata one. Another part that is missing as well is we have this kind of plug on top here, which that one is missing as well down here. Outside of the drain plug seems to be in the same location. We also have this little holder right here that this one is missing it, but it is the area there for it. So if we move to the middle section here of the transmission, everything around here is pretty much the same, which is what allows us to be able to swap the BellHousing on it. So not a lot of differences between there. But then on the third part of the transmission here, that's where another major differences happens. On the B series, we have the transmission mount right here. We also have what looks to me the speedometer cable here. On this one is kind of facing this side. On the Mazda 5-speed, it seems to be facing down. And please correct me if I'm wrong. Like I said, I should have done my little research on what each plug of those were. But we're just looking for differences right now. Another big difference too is where the shifter sits. As you can see here, it kind of ends here, and then the transmission extends a little bit more, versus the Miata, it kind of transmission and shifter are pretty much aligned here at the end of it. And we have also just a little bit set up here of how it is. I'm not super familiar with Miatas, like I said, so some of these other things that are around it, I'm not sure if it's the mount or some other sort of brace or something like that. But I did think it was cool that the Miata has kind of the VIN number on it. The B series doesn't have anything, at least that I can see, like that. Another clear difference is going to be obviously here on the mounting holes on the front. These ones are just a little bit different laid out compared to that one. We are missing a few things around. You can see we have a lot more holes here on this area versus that one. And then here on the bottom too, they just line up a little bit differently than it is on that side. But everything on the back should line up once we unhook them. So let's go ahead and drain all the fluids as much as we can for now. We're gonna fill them up later once the BellHousing is swapped. And let's start working on swapping it. So this is the one thing I was talking about being concerning potentially with the transmission is I took the plug here and it was completely black and full of gunk and lots of little metal shavings, which there are over here in this towel. You're probably not gonna be able to tell here, but lots of little metal pieces there. So I'm hoping this transmission is actually good and is not just completely shot. If that is the case, we'll basically have to do this again with the transmission that's in the truck. But we're gonna go ahead and open it first and see what's going on. But yeah, fingers crossed it's not completely done. Otherwise, we're wasting our time right now. The process will still be the same, so I won't film it if that is the case. But let's go ahead and drain this one. Not a lot came out of the bag. tons of it come out, but not on the front. It's just kind of weird. But anyways, let's get to it. All right, so here we are looking at the B series transmission. We're gonna go ahead and undo all the bolts here to take this plate off. That's the first thing we gotta do before we can take out the ones on the back so we can remove the bell housing. And then one thing I wanna call that there's a difference here compared to the Miata one is gonna be the area where that clutch lever kinda, I don't know what else to call it, attaches to. This is a lot smaller here versus the Miata one. If we go over here to the Miata one, you're gonna see that this area just sticks out a little bit further out since this whole area is a little bit further up the bell housing as well. So whenever we're doing the swap, we're gonna make sure we keep this from the Miata into the B series. They should all attach the same, so it shouldn't be an issue as far as bolting points. But yeah, just make sure we do that. So once you take the plate off, there is a ring around this top area here that you do have to remove. It is this gray one here. It doesn't have the holes, kind of like this bottom one does, so you can put the tool that spreads it out. So you might have to work around it a little bit, but you need to get that one off before we can take the bell housing. Also, if the cover comes off, sometimes there's this little kind of gasket thingy. Make sure you keep it, especially where it came from. Keep it where it is. So this one's from the B series. I believe the Miata one should have one as well here. So once we move over to this side and take that plate off, we should see it there. But we're gonna remove this ring first and then do the Miata. All right, we have removed all of the bottom brackets and everything. This is the B series, this is the Miata one. We gotta make sure we keep the right one that we're gonna be using once we put them all together. So now we are ready to move up here and remove these bolts. And by the way, everything down here is a 12mm bolt. And I believe everything up here should be a 12mm bolt. There might be a 10 somewhere in there, but I believe most of them are 12mm. You might have to get an extension for areas like this one, where if you have an impact, you might not be able to reach it with the impact. And then on the Miata one, especially too, this is obviously not gonna be able to get it with an impact, so we're gonna have to use the wrench and everything there. So we are gonna go ahead and start unbolting all of them on both sides, and then that way we can start knocking the bell housing out. All right, so we loosened the bolts all around them. Some of them were a little bit tight, so nothing, a little persuasion couldn't get out, but we have basically all of them out. What we're gonna do now is we're gonna flip them. You can see we're spilling some oil here. They didn't wanna come out when I put it against the oil pan, but it is what it is. So we are good to put it back on the side and start hitting it with a little block of wood so we don't damage, obviously, the bell housing, and start getting them out of the way, and then swap them over. So let's do it. All right, so we finally got the bell housing off of both transmissions. The Miata seemed to be a little bit weaker. It was already coming apart here on the back seam. The B series one, it is solid in there, man. That did not split at all here on the back. But we did have to put a little bit of effort, hit it there with some wood and the mallet to make sure we don't dent it or damage it or anything like that, and it all came out good. After looking here closely to the insides of the B series, I'm kind of glad it looks all fine. It doesn't look damaged, nothing looks wrong or out of place that I can see. I'm definitely not an expert in transmissions, but everything looks in pretty good shape, so I'm glad about that. Like I said, it had a lot of dirt and everything when I took the plug off, so I was concerned there was going to be some debris or something in here, but it's looking good. So we are looking good as far as that goes. We are going to go ahead and clean those up a little bit and then put that one over here and attach it and everything. Again, I did get some gray RTB. We need that here for the end. There's not a gasket that goes here, so we're going to go ahead and apply that pretty well all around there, so make sure we have a good seal and we're not going to be leaking anything. But I am going to clean the sides here. It's pretty dirty, so we're going to do that here. All right, guys, and I have the two plates here for the front. I want to make sure we talk just about the slight differences in them, just so you don't mix them up. Obviously, the wall pattern and everything is the same. We just have two differences. Is the Mazda Miata one here on this side, we have where the fork kind of attaches here. It's a lot taller, sits a lot higher compared to the Mazda B series. And then they have this area here, which is kind of a little mount. is a lot taller, a lot smaller on this area here compared to the B Series. The B Series on this side is just a lot shorter where the fork attaches, and then there's really not a mount here. It's almost all the way flat to the bottom. So those are the two differences between them. The back of it is pretty much the same. Here on the video just looks a little bit different because the gasket is just stuck to this. But it should all be exactly the same. Now I went ahead and ordered the gasket that goes in here. You will need it, otherwise you have a chance that the transmission might leak. And the gasket came with the inner seal here as well. Super affordable, super cheap, so I'll write the price here on the top. So we are going to get that in the middle a little bit later. We're not going to have it in the video, but it is going to be here, swap and replace. So make sure you do that. And then we also order the gasket that goes here on the back of the transmission. Might as well get it brand new, might as well minimize chances of anything leaking. So we are going to have that in place as well. I'll write the price for this one right here on the top as well. And then we're going to move on to put in the transmission together. So there we have it. We just need to bolt it down right now, but it's in there. It went pretty smooth for the most part. Definitely could have gone better, I guess, but make sure you add maybe a little bit of grease or a little bit of oil on that bearing so it slides in there nicely. It won't be scraping up all dry metal with dry metal. Outside of that though, we're gonna bolt the bolts here in a bit of a star shape or crisscross pattern. So make sure we do one, then to the opposite and so forth. So make sure we keep it kind of even. With this, start getting some run of kind of that nasty gear oil in there, so hopefully it doesn't splash all over the inside, all gross in there. But we are gonna fill it up with some new oil a little bit later. Make sure we do a flush since that thing was pretty nasty on the inside, and then refill it again. But for right now we're good. Let's go ahead and bolt those things in before we flip it and start doing the front plate. And then just keep in mind we are gonna add that gasket a little bit later, so let's do it. All right, so everything is in here and it's bolted up good, and we're gonna make sure everything spins, nothing's getting stuck, there's no resistance in there. I mean, they will have a little bit of natural resistance, but yeah, everything is turning well. We are good. So don't forget to grab this, very important. Make sure you put this back where it is, make sure it's nice and secure there, otherwise your transmission's not gonna work or it might fall apart, who knows. And then once you have ready to put your little plate as well, make sure you have that little gasket. Don't forget a little metal one. It needs to go in there. You might have to tilt it forward so it doesn't slip out of place and get crushed in a wrong way. But yeah, you're pretty much good to go after that. We are gonna be waiting on the gasket, like I said, and the seal that goes right here. So for now, we're just gonna make sure this is in place, and we're gonna put it in there, but not tying it up for now, since we are gonna replace that anyway. So let's go ahead and get that done. All right, so our ring is right in place, and you might have to pull on this if it's not, looks like it's gonna line up, or if you put the ring on there and it looks like too far apart from it, you can push it a little bit. So just be careful, try not to pull it out too much, try not to obviously over push it in or anything like that, just enough that it sits against the bell housing and that it has enough space for us to put the little cover in here. Now I'm gonna put this in here and just tighten up by hand for now, since I am waiting on the gasket. Once we get the gasket, we'll finish up the tightening in there, but obviously it's just a couple bolts and you are good to go. So outside of that though, look at this. We are looking at a B series transmission with a bell housing from a Miata on the front. Later on, we'll get the adapter plate here for the K24 and the flywheel. They are very expensive, so I definitely have to save up a little bit more money for that. But if you guys want to support the channel, check out Flake Garage, or just like the videos, watch the videos. That also helps me support the channel here without you having to spend any money. So really appreciate it if you get something from the website. If not, watch some videos, like them, comment on them, and then we should be good. But yeah, we are looking good here. I'm gonna put this together probably just to keep it out of the way for now, but it won't be needed. That's the Miata transmission in there. But yeah, we are good. Once we get the transmission out of the truck here, then I'll fiddle with the actual shifter and everything. We'll probably have to transfer the one from here into this one just because I don't know what happened to the one here. I'm pretty sure I had it. Somehow I took it off, I guess, and it's been gone ever since. So there you have it, guys. That's really all I have for you today. It is a super straight swap. Everything is bolt on. You don't have to modify anything at all. You just have to find the Miata transmission, get you a BellHousing, and then swap it over to the B series. If you are gonna do either a Miata swap, 1.8, 1.6, whatever it is, or if you're gonna go with a K swap like I am, then you have to get the adapter and everything else. But it should all be kind of a bolt-on situation there. So hopefully this was helpful to you. If not, either ways, keep watching the videos, keep supporting the channel here. Check out flakegarage.com for more parts and links to things that I have used in the channel and everything. And then hopefully we'll see you guys on the next video. Bye.